To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. Winston Churchill. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Change Series podcast, the most originally named podcast on the entire World Wide Web. Today's story of change is an individual one. It's one that takes place within. It's a story of change we often see surfacing around social media with the title of Body Transformation, a thing I am in a dire need of. We love watching these videos but don't understand the true change that goes on within. Without further ado, let me introduce our guest for today on the podcast. Our guest today is an award-winning AI and Robotics enthusiast, a part-time DJ and a full-time senior at DIA. I really don't know why I keep bringing people who do so much. Without further ado, let me introduce Soumyo Shankar. Soumyo, first of all, welcome to the Change Series podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Adnan. What about you?
That's so great to hear. Thank you so much for asking. I'm doing great too. So, let's just get to the questions, shall we? Tell me one thing.
Yeah.
What change did you bring about?
So, I brought about a personal change. Over the course of 2 years, I lost 45 kilos. That means I went from 120 kilos, which is 45% body fat, to 76 kilos, which is 16 to 17% body fat.
100 years. Basically in peak athletic shape. That's so amazing. How did you achieve such a change? I mean, I know how you did it. I mean, gymming and stuff. But what was your why? Why did you want to bring about such change?
So, initially what happened is I had to get a blood test done because as part of my yearly health checkup, and something interesting popped up. I got diagnosed with something called insulin resistance. Now, for any bio student knows what that is, but I think I should explain what that is. I think I should explain what that is. It's basically your body produces insulin to counteract glucose or something like that. And what happens is your body can only produce a finite number of insulin throughout your life. Now, what happens is when you have that much fat, your cells are not getting the insulin because your cell is covered with fat, so that insulin is not getting inside.
Yeah.
What happens is after maybe 2 or 3 years staying like that, your body runs out of insulin because there's so much excess in your blood. They're not going into the cells, and because of it's not going to the cells, it's calling more insulin, which is again getting stuck in the blood. So that put me at a high risk for juvenile diabetes. And that is my dad's worst nightmare. So literally the results came, got a good earful from my doctor, and next day I started going to the gym, and I guess that's how it started.
Shoot, dude, I got a shock right now. My bones are shifting because I too am on the fatter side. So yeah, I should really do a health checkup too, actually. That might be a good idea. Dude, so you on our previous call, knowing you as a friend, you were telling me something about the other factors that led you to the change, one being the change in your society,
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say, so a couple of things happened when I started working out. First of all, I hated it because you don't like not eating, you know what I mean? And being my 10th boards year, it's already a very stressful year to even study, because you're always hearing, study, keep studying, forget everything, just study. And when you have that sort of stress, you trained your mind over the course of 3 or 4 years to relieve that stress through food.
Yeah.
And now that food supply doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So you are kind of in a weird situation.
Yeah.
And what happened midway through that 10th grade thing is one of my close friends died because he contracted COVID. And that really took a toll on me because he also was diagnosed with insulin resistance, and he had some sort of, I don't want to know exactly what happened to him, but all I know is his overweight led to COVID causing complications which caused him to pass away. So that was kind of like a tight slap on my face, like a slight wake up call, and I was just like, I want to get thin, mujhe patla hona hai. And that just woke me up. And another thing that happened is I moved from my CBSE to an IB curriculum school, and I was tired of being called fat, so I just wanted to lose some sort of weight before I joined, so I don't look fat, but I'm also not thin yet, somewhere in the middle. And when I walked into my IB school, we have something called the CAS program, which is Creativity Activity Service. You're supposed to do 9 extracurriculars, 3 in each, over the course of 2 years. You're supposed to do 3 physical activities on a weekly basis. So I was already going to the gym. I started playing squash on a weekly basis, and I also ran a few marathons. So these 3 became my routine. And along with that, caring for my diet got me to where I am right now. So
dude, first of all,
that's basically what happened.
I'm really sorry to hear about your loss, about your friend. Second of all, that kind of scares me a lot now. But it's so amazing to see how you've grown and how you've fought back, how you've picked yourself up. Another thing was
Adnan, I don't think you... Adnan, there was this thing, remember, in 8th grade when or was it 9th grade, we were both getting badged for student council. During one of the rehearsals, Karunesh sir came forward. Karunesh sir is a PE teacher, and he came forward and like, Soumyo, kitne kilo bada ke aaye ho? And then on stage he announced, Soumyo, stage mat tod dena. And that was a statement which I did not like, and I just wanted to get rid of those kind of comments directed towards me. So that's the main reason why actually I'm happy to lose weight, because I don't get those comments anymore.
Yeah, being called names, not being accepted for being overweight. It's timeless. And one thing I learned about from whatever you told me is that being in a proper community, surrounded by the proper people, is really important. Like your switch to IB, it brought that change even quicker. I would say through that CAS program, and being in more a supportive environment probably brought that change quicker. Would you agree to that? Like being in a proper community and being in a proper society?
I would agree, because when you put like-minded people in a place, it also gets you to start doing that. So in my current school, every single boy goes to the gym, so once you have, like, when all your gym break discussions are what gym exercise you're going to do that day, or what you did the day before, and what you're eating, and counting your calories and things like that. Once you get into that system, you kind of become part of it, and it just drives you even more. Because it kind of encourages some sort of healthy competitiveness. Someone says, "Oh, I lost 10 kilos, I lost 15." So I can just pull out my card and say, "Oh, I lost 40 kilos." It's a good, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, and even.
It's a good feeling, because it was such a tough battle. Weight loss, it's a gruesome physical battle, but we know it's a way tougher mental battle. So what were like the obstacles you faced, like mentally, which anyone faces, like with change?
Mentally, as I said, so my stress reliever for a really, really long amount of time was food, which is, I think, a situation for any fat kid. And what happens with that is you train your mind to treat food as like your savior in any sort of difficult situation. When you go through a weight loss process, what happens is you try to get your mind off the food. And if you have done that as a fat kid, you train your mind to not look at food as a savior,
Yeah.
but rather as something you need to merely survive,
Yeah.
then your weight loss becomes much faster. And that's what I can say. Also, you need to be willing to lose the weight. I know a lot of kids who come to the gym just because their parents force them.
Yeah.
And because of that, they never really are able to lose the weight. I'll give you my example. So when I joined the gym, first 6 months, I was going to the gym every day. I was eating right. I was not losing weight. I lost maybe 4 kilos in those 6 months. Then there came a situation where I actually sprained my ankle and I was in bed rest for 2 months. When I came back from that, I was like, no, let's see what happens. Let's see if I can actually lose weight. But I'd given up. I was like, there was no way I can lose weight. I can never lose 20, 30 kilos. I was like, no, let's try. Let's see what happens. And then day by day, you stand on the weight scale and you see the numbers falling. It's just a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And you never want that feeling to stop.
Yeah.
So you still... And I'm not done yet actually, because I am currently 76 kilos and I'm still losing weight. I was 78 about a month ago, so I'm 76 now. My goal is to actually reach 70 kilos, because that is when I'll be like properly like shredded. Not only thin but shredded. So that's my ideal body which I'm going for. So I mean, 44 kilos go down, 6 kilos to go. Shouldn't be as hard now.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You made it such a long journey, dude. So what would be your tips for our population is getting fatter, with the processed food, processed sugar that we're eating. So what would be your tips for those kids mainly who want to lose weight, and some mental tips or some tips you could give?
The tips, first of all, try to get your mind off food. Now that's kind of hard to do. There's no way. So, but you just have first. Actually, let me just order this in steps, right? Step number 1: get the drive to lose weight. Like, you should want to lose weight. You should want it really, really bad. If that you don't do, there's no point doing anything else. That's step 1. Step 2 is understand your body. I would say what kind of body type do you have, what kind of what you need to eat, what kind of exercise you need to do, because there's so many kids who just do cardio and get thin. For me, I tried cardio for those first 6 months and I never lost weight. I lost like 4 kilos in 6 months. But then when I started doing muscle training, I lose 10 kilos in 2 months and I'm like, okay, what the hell happened, And it's not even... And so you should understand what your body is, or body wants, or body needs. Third thing, as you said, processed food, processed sugars, stop looking at it like that. Stop looking at it as junk food and healthy food. All of your food has nutrients. You have to see which nutrients you need and which nutrients you don't. And try to get the nutrients you need more. And last is reward yourself, okay? Like, you lost 10 kilos, you deserve that cheat meal. Okay, you lost those... Like, every time... my favorite is every time I lose 5 kilos, I treat myself with a cheat meal.
Oh, wow.
Always. And, so if you're kind of working towards a cheat meal, and that kind of motivates you even more. If that makes sense.
What's your favorite cheat meal?
I don't have a favorite food, because that's what happens when you lose a lot of weight, right? I don't like eating anymore. Which is, I know, it's kind of unhealthy, but my favorite cheat meal used to be burgers. But now it's just, I don't know, I'll just eat whatever I need to, I guess. Whatever is available.
Mine is my mom's biryani. You should try it. Okay.
Yeah, I should try it. I should try it.
So Soumyo, man, it's too much to process, to be frankly honest. Your journey has been so amazing, and it really teaches us that what you see on Instagram and what you see on social media, with the name body transformation videos, they aren't what they seem. There's so much that goes on in the background. There's so many reasons.
And
Brilliant.
just a thing on your body transformation videos.
Yeah.
I saw those videos in the beginning, and it kind of takes a mental toll on you as well, because you see that, oh, these people are losing weight, oh, I'm not losing weight, or and then you should realize that half of it is very gimmicky. Like 50% of it is fake.
Yeah.
There are like fat burners and muscle builders and steroids that people take to lose fat. And I mean, I know why people would want to do that, but that's beyond the scope of what we're talking today. But try to understand that half of it is gimmicky. Everyone works at their own pace. Don't, especially in gymming or bodybuilding or losing weight, don't compare yourself to others. It's like the worst thing you can do, at least to your mental health. Your last battle is against yourself.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make sense to compare yourself against others, because you have a different body type, you have a different bone structure, muscle structure, amount of fat, all of that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely there.
Yeah, that's... Dude, I still processing
time to process.
journey, to be frankly honest. Like, it's so unreal. I'm listening with the viewers. I didn't know the journey at all. It was such an interesting podcast. It's unreal, man. I'm so glad to have you on the show. How would you describe your overall journey? You have described that before. So what would be one key takeaway? One key takeaway, which would be a broad takeaway on change in general.
Change, you mean body change, or
any change, whatever change you've done in your life, and your body being the most recent one, and probably the most prominent one. Yeah.
There are two quotes I would like to share with the audience and with you, which kind of became the mantra for my life, at least when I was losing weight. The first one is by Albert Einstein. You might have heard of it. Life is like a bicycle. To maintain balance, you need to keep moving forward. And that makes a lot of metaphorical sense, but even in a physical sense, you need to keep moving forward. And what I mean by that is, you need to keep exercising.
Yeah.
You stop exercising, you stop eating right, you go back to what you were. If I stop exercising for the next 6 months, I'll go back to what I was.
Yeah.
You need to keep exercising, and what it's trying to tell us is consistency is key. That's number one. And second one is by Honorable Prime Minister of UAE. He has a book called My Vision, I think it's what it's called. And there's a quote in there that says, "In the race for excellence, there is no finishing line." So that means that basically you should never stop doing what you're doing because you achieved your goal. That doesn't mean, basically I'm trying to say that if I become 70 kilos, which I discussed was my goal, it's not like I stop going to the gym or stop eating right. There's always something I can do better with my body. Maybe once I become 70 kilos, I can start building a lot of muscle and become huge back again, but this time healthier, like a muscular way. So that's definitely there. That's something I would like the viewers to know and understand.
I'm 100% sure now that whatever you're going to achieve in life, you are going to achieve it. You have achieved such an amazing feat, I must say. You have achieved such an amazing feat. And you're going to build those muscles. Don't worry, you're gonna be jacked. You're gonna be on it. You're gonna have that chest. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're approaching the conclusion of our episode. Our last question would be, so we have this last segment actually, which is tips for change. So our last question would be, what tips would you give to our viewers that want to bring change in themselves or society? This being like a broad change.
Broad change,
not weight loss, just a broad change, just broad.
You just threw a deep philosophical question, which I haven't really thought about. So just give me a second, yeah?
Okay.
Just give me a second.
Okay, let me just mention what our previous podcaster what our previous guest said, Malvika Rajesh. So she said, the first thing she said was believe in yourself, and the second thing she said was self-doubt. So only you can do what you can do, and if you want to bring about a change, and if it's important to you, then you will bring it about, and you have to prioritize your change. You have to give it time, and that's only when you will see the result. And the second one was about self-doubt, that self-doubt is a common thing, and that we actually don't know how the world is going to perceive us, but we think of it in a negative way, when in reality it's actually going to be way more positive than we are anticipating. So self-doubt is something we should mitigate. So what would you say now as
I would say
tips?
Want that change. Want that change really, really bad. Because if you want something really, really bad, you will work towards it. And if you want it really bad, you won't give up along the way, because just wanting it becomes a really big drive for you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And that's just, I know there's this famous Hindi quote, I don't know if, I don't know if you've heard of it. If you want something really bad, the entire universe will find it for you. I mean, that's the translation. That's a loose translation.
Lord.
But
no. We're not going to let it off this easy. Give it to me in your most SRK sense. Let's go. Let's go. The most SRK way.
Wow.
Let's give it.
SRK in sense?
Yeah.
अगर जिंदगी में कुछ I forgot the quote. It says जिंदगी में कुछ चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसे ढूंढने में तुम्हारी मदद करेगी, or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't do an SRK impression. I'm sorry. Forgive me for that.
SRK.
I'm not.
Okay. Not like SRK
Yes.
watches our videos. If you do SRK.
Imagine he did.
Dude, as I mentioned below, the...
See, Adnan, you have to want it. Adnan, you have to want it.
Yeah.
If you want it, SRK will come to the podcast.
I want it. And if you
want it, SRK will come to the podcast.
Yes. Tag him down below. If it's on Insta, tag him down below.
Yeah, tag him down below.
Yeah.
So Adnan, let's do this. If this podcast reaches 1 million likes, you will get SRK on the show.
I will get SRK on the show. I will personally sell my house. I will pay him 1 crore to be on the show, and hopefully he agrees. Hopefully. Okay, Soumyo, that was so much fun. I'm so glad we recorded this podcast. I'm so glad that you came on the show. Thank you so much for everything. You have literally opened my eyes. And now very soon you will see a transformation video of me, and I will say, I will give credits that thank you to my dear friend Soumyo. Thank you so much for being on the show.
I will be looking forward to the transformation video, and I also want to thank you for letting me be here and actually talk about my journey, because it's just an experience that that I really wanted to talk to a large group of people about, but really didn't have the opportunity till now. So thank you Adnan, for giving me this platform on your podcast.
Yeah.
You're letting me talk to your wide audience.
Thank you for coming. It means a lot. And like I always say, when you become really famous and when you become really big, don't forget your old friend on the Change Series podcast. Please don't forget it.
I won't.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, dude.
If you're like my elder brother. If I have your blessings, I will never forget you.
You have it. Okay, dude. I will see you next time on the Change Series podcast. Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Dude.